So I figured it was only appropriate for us to go out there and start covering our bases as to what could be going on with the Montreal Canadiens and Patrik Laine. But before we dive into that, we have to show off what he's been saying. Because Laine himself posted on Instagram this Muhammad Ali quote earlier in the weekend. "You don't lose if you get knocked down. You lose if you stay down. It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you could get hit and keep moving forward." Okay, we're not going to do the accent. But Patrik Laine, obviously, is probably subject of the most unfortunate and disappointing situation in hockey today. It's either him or Filipino, to be honest. Kind of unfortunate that both of those situations come out of my two favorite teams, but Patrik Laine is now going to be out for multiple months. He'll be out at least until 2026, recovering from his surgery. And based off of how he had played this season, you could definitely tell that something was up. Hey, if that's exactly what it was, a sports hernia or whatever you want to call it, which he needed to get surgically repaired, then okay. That absolutely is terrible news for Laine. It's probably going to cost him a good chunk of this season, if not maybe even the entire season, if he's not able to play properly when he comes back. But Patrik Laine is in a pretty tough spot for the Montreal Canadiens. And even though he's going out there and saying the good things on social media about how he's really going to try to get back in there is an unfortunate truth that we have to talk about what goes on after. Not just for the player himself, but for the hockey team. Let's go out there and read this article posted by Eric Engels earlier yesterday, talking about how Patrik Laine was dealt another tough blow as an injury jeopardizes his future with the Montreal Canadiens. Now, I don't know if this is a jab or whatever, but it is kind of twisted. But the Montreal Canadiens pre-season interview with Patrik Laine is listed here in the article. Laine thinks this season will be, without question, the best season for himself, adding having his legs to start the season will be a big part of it. Yeah, I mean, if Patrik Laine was right about that, if he went out there and had a over 70-point year with more than 40 goals, because that was a year that he had back when he was 19 in the NHL, then yeah, that would have been amazing for him to do with the Montreal Canadiens, but unfortunately, these injuries, they had other plans for him. Let's go down and read what exactly the article says. 5 weeks after Laine guaranteed that we'd see the best version of himself on the ice this season, the Canadiens announced it would be several months before we'd see him on the ice again. The Finnish forward underwent core muscle surgery at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York earlier this week, after initially being ruled day-to-day with a lower body injury by the club on October 17th. He'll be sidelined for 3 to 4 months, after appearing in just 5 games, earning only 1 point, registering only 6 shots on net, and accumulating a -3 rating. Those numbers weren't entirely indicative of Laine's performance, which Canadiens coach Martin St. Louis expressed satisfaction with on a couple of occasions in the early part of the year. But it's fair to say the player was slow burning his way towards displaying the best version of himself. There's no debate, it's unfortunate the fire has been suddenly extinguished after an up and mostly down 4 seasons with the Blue Jackets brought him to Montreal via trade, and after he experienced several highs and lows in his first season with the Habs. There have been multiple interruptions to his career over that span, and the one he's dealing with now is coming at the worst possible time. This is a contract season for Laine. He's on an expiring $8.7 million cap hit, with $9.1 million in actual salary being paid to him, and the chances of him earning a similar paycheck on his next deal were already slim before the injury. The 27-year-old is 8 years removed from his best one in the NHL. That same 44-goal, 70-point spree with the Jets that we had spoken about, and this most recent surgery is yet another event that will diminish his value. Laine was hoping to redeem some of it this season after suffering multiple injuries and doing an extensive stint in the NHLPA's Players Assistance Program. But his runway to do so has now been reduced. Now, this is where Eric Engels goes into the potential options for Laine heading into the next little while, because, yeah, this is a long piece. It's essentially just giving us the news on Patty Laine. Let's scroll down here and just skip past what Laine had to go through last year when he was taken out by Cedric Paré, how he got a second opinion that opted for rehabilitation without surgery, how that kept him out of action for just 24 games before he returned and ended up scoring some pretty big goals for the Canadiens. The former second overall pick said after the series against Washington he had suffered a broken finger, and he was also looking forward to getting back to full health and committing to a summer of training that would return him to his once prolific self. Laine remained in Montreal for most of it, spending days skating and training with several other Canadiens at the team's South Shore practice facility, which was in sharp contrast to the summer before, when he was rehabbing from shoulder surgery following the completion of his time in the PA's assistance program, and had only been on the ice 3 times before arriving in Montreal. St. Louis was encouraged by Laine's commitment this summer. With the amount of work he's put in, we might see the best version of Patty Laine, he said, after the team held its first day of on-ice activity in training camp. Man, just reading all of that, it's so tough, man. This guy was really putting in the work to be placed in a better, fortunate spot for the Canadiens this year, but it's all getting taken away now. Let's skip past all of this because honestly, it's quite sad. Patrik Laine is incredible, yada yada yada. He's firmly able to make changes to his game. He's 100% on board. Ah, man. Now, there's no telling if he'll have that opportunity again with the Montreal Canadiens. His latest possible return, if all goes to plan from his most recent surgery, would be in the final week of February, and it's hard to predict what the Canadiens will need at that point. If they remain fully healthy, and that's a big if, Laine could have a hard time getting back into their lineup, and the Canadiens potentially adding more forwards before the March 6 trade deadline would only make a stiffer competition for ice time up front. It's also possible Laine will be traded between now and then. His status as a pending UFA made that a possibility even before this injury occurred. Now that Laine has suffered it, he's facing another long recovery, leaving his opportunity to prove his September declaration twisting in the wind. It's unfortunate news for the Canadiens who could use Laine at his best, but it's particularly bad news for the player who wanted to show he could quickly redeem his status as an impact player in Montreal. Man, that's sad. His opportunity to prove his September declaration. That September declaration all the way at the beginning, yeah, he's going to have the best season of his career. Twisting in the wind. Ay, ay, ay. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag? That's what I feel like a lot of these comments about Patrik Laine are seeming like now, just fizzling away in the sunset. But ultimately, we just gotta wait and see what happens. Eric Engels is ultimately saying here that the guy could get traded, which I don't think is too impossible at this point. If there is a team that needs a lot of money, then okay, Patty Laine is available for you. But really, if this ends up becoming yet another insurmountable mountain for Laine, I don't think anybody would really blame him. At the end of the day, though, it's all about the health that matters, and as long as he's able to recover properly and get back to at least normal human being form, then that's all that really matters at this point, right? So I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Patrik Laine trade update? And what do you think ultimately happens with him and his situation? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.